Julius Muya. He joins me at this moment. Bwana PS, good afternoon, and thank you for making the time for us today. My first question to you is, when is this likely to begin exactly?
Good afternoon, Yvonne. Thank you for that question. We are very clear in our intentions because of the preparations that we've been making. And we are looking before the end of this month of October, and I would say mid-October, to be able to operationalize the credit guarantee scheme to benefit the micro, the medium and small enterprises so that they can be able to access credit in the banking sector.
All right, can you talk to us about the lending institutions? How have you identified them? Which are the banks that you'll be partnering with? And how does it work? Does a small business man or woman go to the bank seeking a loan and then they will be told they're eligible for this credit guarantee scheme? Or do they come to government first?
Well, by design, a credit guarantee scheme operates through a financial intermediary. And therefore, we've had to identify the banks which we have identified and selected them using the laws that exist in the land, precisely the Public Procurement and Disposals Act 2015, where the selection of the banks has been done in a fairly transparent and competitive process. And we've already identified the banks. And now the next step will be to get the bank to sign a service level agreement with us in the government. And then after the banks have signed that agreement, then will be the next step of the banks rolling out the scheme. Now, quite clearly and in an easy way, I can explain that those who are intending to benefit from the scheme, for that matter, micro, small and medium enterprises, will approach their banks, or rather the banks that have been selected and are qualifying, and they will apply for credit facilities of different types. It could be an overdraft, it could be a small loan, it could be invoice discounting, or it could be financing of a local purchase order. And they will be given credit by the bank on the basis of the bank's assessment, and also on the basis that part of the risk is covered by this guarantee that the government has given.
Okay, what happens in the event of default? Because that is a possibility. The risk remains, it's just that the government is taking up that risk. So for those who are watching today and they say, what happens if I take this loan, the government acts as guarantor, at least in part, and I'm unable to pay, what would be your method of recouping the debt? Would we see government coming in to auction someone's business?
Well, by design, this is a guarantee product where the banks that are lending the money or extending the credit to the borrowers are supposed to apply their normal credit administration, their normal loan recovery procedures. And at the point when a borrower is not able to service their credit facility, then that is when they will file a claim through the bank, and then the bank will be able to be reimbursed the portion that has been agreed, where there is a loss-sharing ratio in terms of 50-50 between the commercial bank and the government through this credit guarantee scheme that has been established. And so that way then we make sure that we follow the correct and international standards of credit guarantee schemes where we apportion and share risk in our loan portfolio.
All right. One of the challenges of SMEs, Bwana PS, as we have seen in the news over the last year or so, is the issue of pending bills, particularly when they're supplying goods or services to government. So one would say that would eventually hamper their ability to pay back a loan that has been guaranteed by the same government that takes long to pay them for services and goods rendered.
Well, that is actually something that we are very clear in government, that money is actually the bloodstream of business. And therefore, that is why we have been very clear in terms of paying any bills that government has incurred. And we have been very clear in terms of making sure that we pay what has been called pending bills. And so that way, when government is paying for the goods the government is buying, the services which are rendered to government, and also the works that have been carried out for government, then we will be able then to make sure that businesses that are doing work with the government are not disadvantaged in that way. And so for us, it's the discipline of making sure that state departments and ministries and state corporations as well as agencies in government only procure that is within the budget. And for us, we also have to enforce that so long as you have procured properly, then payment must be made, and that's the work of the National Treasury to avail the exchequer so that businesses can be paid in time and promptly.
All right. If I may, while we have you, Bwana PS, the focus now is on building back, building better. As we're looking forward towards, post-COVID-19, what would you say have been the lessons learned, at least on your end, in terms of SMEs that have been hardest hit? And what do you see as the forecast for the SME sector going forward?
The first thing that I want to appreciate is that we have learned that we can manufacture, we can add value to a lot of things that we thought we wouldn't be able to do in the past. And so through a program where we are looking to push a lot of buy in Kenya, build Kenya, and also make Kenya prosper through us buying locally made goods. That is one way that we are supporting the MSMEs in the public sector. But let me also add that we've also got this 8-point economic stimulus package, which is aiming also to strengthen the MSMEs further by procuring a lot of goods and services from the MSMEs, and also making sure that we use as much local content and labor-intensive technologies as possible. And I think this is one very, very clear way in which we are providing informed and deliberate support to the MSMEs going forward.
Thank you very much. PS Julius Muya in the Ministry of Treasury. We thank you for your time this afternoon. You've heard from him there. He says the credit guarantee scheme should be in place by mid this month. We're looking forward to that to see in which ways it impacts MSME sector in the country. Asante sana for your time, Bwana PS. Now, like we